grumbled Joe, lying on the rug. It is so dreadful to be poor, sighed Meg, looking down at her old dress. I don't think it's fair for some girls to have plenty of pretty things and other girls nothing at all, added little Amy with an injured sniff. We've got father and mother and each other, said Beth contentedly from her corner. The four young faces on which, let me highlight this one, the four young faces on which the firelight shone brightened at the cheerful words, but darkened again as Joe said sadly, "We haven't got father, and shall not have him for a long time." She didn't say perhaps never, but each slightly added it, thinking of father far away, where the fighting was. Nobody spoke for a minute. Then Meg said in an altered tone, "You know the reason Mother proposed not having any presents this Christmas was because it is going to be a hard winter for everyone, and she thinks we ought not to spend money for pleasure when our men are suffering so in the army. We can't do much, but we can make our little sacrifices and ought to do it gladly. But I'm afraid I don't." And Meg shook her head as she thought regretfully of all the pretty things she wanted. "But I don't think the little we should spend would do any good. We've each got $1, and the army wouldn't be much helped by our giving that. I agree not to expect anything from Mother or you, but I do want to buy Undyne and Centram for myself. I've wanted it so long," said Joe, who was a bookworm. "I plan to spend mine on new music," said Beth, with a little sigh, which no one heard but the hearth brush and kettle holder. "I shall get a nice box of Faber's drawing pencils. I really need them," said Amy decidedly. "Mother didn't say anything about our money, and she won't wish us to give up everything. Let's each buy what we want and have a little fun. I'm sure we work hard enough to earn it," cried Joe, examining the heels of her shoes in a gentlemanly manner. "I know I do. Teaching those tiresome children nearly all day when I am longing to enjoy myself at home," began Meg, in the complaining tone again. "You don't have half such a hard time as I do," said Joe. "How would you like to be shut up for hours with a nervous, fussy old lady who keeps you trotting, is never satisfied, and worries you till you're ready to fly out of the window or box her ears? It is naughty to fret, but I do think washing dishes and keeping things tidy is the worst work in the world. It makes me cross, and my hands get so stiff. I can't practice well at all." And Beth looked at her rough hands with a sigh that anyone could hear that time. "I don't believe any of you suffer as I do," cried Amy, "for you don't have to go to school with impertinent girls who plague you if you don't know your lessons, and laugh at your dresses, and label your father if he isn't rich, and insult you when your nose isn't nice. If you mean liberal, I'd say so, and not talk about labels as if Papa was a pickle bottle, advised Joe, laughing. I I know what I mean, and you needn't be satirical about it. Satirical about it. Let me highlight this one. It is proper to use good words and improve your vocabulary, returned Amy with dignity. Don't pick at one another, children. Don't you wish we had the money Papa lost when we were little, Joe? Dear me, how happy and good we'd be if we had no worries, said Meg. Who could remember better times? You said the other day you thought we were a deal happier than the King children, for they were fighting and fretting all the time. Let me highlight this one. In spite of their money. So I did, Beth. Well, I think we are four. Though we do have to work, we make fun of ourselves and are a pretty jolly set, as Joe would say. Joe does use such slang words, observed Amy, with a reproving look at the long figure stretched on the rug. Joe immediately sat up, put her hands in her pockets, and began to whistle. Don't, Joe. It's so boyish. That's why I do it. I detest rude, unladylike girls. I hate affected, niminy, piminy chits. Birds in their little nests sang Beth, the peacemaker, with such a funny face that both sharp voices softened to a laugh, and the picking ended for that time. Really, girls? You are both to be blamed, said Meg, beginning to lecture in her elder sisterly fashion. You are old enough to leave off boyish tricks and to behave better, Josephine. Let me see. Yep. Josephine, it didn't matter so much when you were a little girl, but now you are so tall and turn up your hair, you should remember that you are a young lady. I'm not. And if turning up my hair makes me one, I'll wear it. I'll wear it in two tails till I'm 20, cried Jo, pulling off her net and shaking down her chestnut mane. I hate to think I've got to grow up and be Miss March and wear long gowns and look as prim as a china aster. It is bad enough to be a girl anyway, when I like boys, games and work and manners. I can't get over my disappointment in not being a boy, and it is worse than ever now, for I'm dying to go and fight with Papa. Papa. Oh wow, it's Papa. And I can only stay at home and knit like a poky old woman. And Jo shook the blue army sock till the needles rattled like castanets. Wow, this word. And her ball bounded across the room. Poor Jo. It's too bad, but it can be helped. So you must try to be contented with making your name boyish and playing brother to us girls, said Beth, stroking the rough head at her knee with a hand that all the dish-washing and dusting in the world could not make ungentle in its touch. As for you, Amy, continued Meg, you are altogether too particular and prim. You eyes are funny now, but you'll grow up and an affected little goose if you don't take care. I like your nice manners and refined ways of speaking when you don't try to be elegant, but you are absurd. Words are as bad as Joe's slang. If Joe is a a tomboy and Amy a goose. What am I, please? Asked Beth, ready to share the lecture. You are a dear and nothing else, answered Meg warmly, and no one contradicted her, for the mouse was the pet of the family. As young readers like to know how people look, we will take this moment to give them a little sketch of the four sisters who sat knitting away in the twilight while the December snow fell quietly without and the fire crackled cheerfully within. It was a comfortable old room, though the carpet was faded and the furniture very plain, for a good picture or two hung on the walls. Books filled the recesses. Chris, Chris, chrysanthemums, chrysanthemums, I don't know, what is this one? And Christmas roses bloomed in the windows, and a pleasant atmosphere of home peace pervaded it. Margaret, the eldest of the four, seen and very pretty, being plump and fair, with large eyes, plenty of soft brown hair, a sweet mouth, and white hands, of which she was rather vain. 15-year-old Joe was very tall, thin, and brown, and reminded one of a colt. For she never seemed to know what to do with her long limbs, which were very much in her way. She had a decided mouth, a comical nose, and sharp grey eyes, which appeared to see everything, and were by turns fierce, funny, or thoughtful. Her long, thick hair was her one beauty, but it was usually bundled in a net, to be out of her way. Rounded shoulders had Jo, big hands and feet, a flyaway look to her clothes, and the uncomfortable appearance of a girl who was rapidly shooting up into a woman and didn't like it. Elizabeth, or Beth as everyone called her, was a rosy, smooth-haired, bright-eyed girl of 13, with a shy manner, a timid voice, and a peaceful expression which was seldom disturbed. Her father called her Little Miss Tranquillity, and the name suited her excellently, for she seemed to live in a happy world for her own, only venturing out to meet the few whom she trusted and loved. Amy, though the youngest, was a most important person in her own opinion at least, a regular snow maiden, with blue eyes and yellow hair curling on her shoulders, a pale and slender, and always carrying herself like a young lady mindful of her manners. What the characters of the four sisters were, we will leave to be found out. The clock struck 6, and having swept up the hearth, I think this is an old English, Beth put a pair of slippers down to warm. Somehow the sight of the old shoes had a good effect upon the girls, for mother was coming, and everyone brightened to welcome her. Meg stopped lecturing and lit the lamp. Amy got out of the easy chair without being asked, and Jo forgot how tired she was as she sat up to hold the slippers nearer to the blaze. They are quite worn out. Mommy must have a new pair. I thought I'd get her some with my dollar, said Beth. No, I shall, cried Amy. I'm the oldest, began Meg, but Jo cut in with a decided, I'm the man of the family now. Papa is away, and I shall provide the slippers for her. Told me to take special care of mother while he was gone. "I'll tell you what we will do," said Beth. "Let's each get her something for Christmas and not get anything for ourselves." Let me see. I think I'm going to stop for today.